But I just, what do I do? Like, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, I don't know, okay? You're asking me these questions. And to be honest with you, it's not all about looks with someone, right? You know, it doesn't always have to be about looks 100%. Of course it does. But to be honest, like, I was not hurting. I was not upset, like, and maybe I'm still trying to hang on to that person that isn't angry at me because, we used to crack jokes, laugh, have a good time. It was things like that. I could I started to feel like, oh, I'm enjoying life. Like, I'm not gonna like, what do you do? Hey, it's out there. I just had to say it. Like, and y'all are over here like, no, that, and to me, it was just like a lot of things that were said that I could have been like, well, maybe I thought about it, and it wasn't really gonna work. And to be honest, I was not rejected. It was a whole lot of being led on, and that kind of hurt. And I was, to be honest, I'm not mad at her. I was kind of mad. And it was at the fact that, like, you're that age and, it's like you couldn't have a conversation, a clear conversation at that. It was just like lack of communication. And then I'm upset about the whole thing. And then people online are painting it as like I was a stalker, I was crazy, that I was whatever the case. No, like, if someone says they don't like me, I'm not going to keep trying to pursue someone. That does not make sense. And it's hard for people to believe if someone really likes me the way that I like them, because they're like, nobody would love you. That to me doesn't make sense. And I don't care what the haters think. I didn't care what the internet thought. Yes, I did to an extent because, like I said, I never had a relationship, to be honest. There was no relationship. I'm putting that out there. We did not have a relationship like that. It would have, but the internet became an issue. And, like, and like I said, if I was involved with someone, I'm not going to bring it to the internet. And I already knew people's opinions. I already knew it was not going to be good. I already knew a lot of things, considering the fact that a lot of people that I hang out with, friends, they really don't want to be on camera. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be on camera. And I knew that was going to be an issue. My thought when I said I was going to deactivate my page, I was hurting because of the situation. But I told myself if this worked out, I was just going to leave my social media, because I was like, you know what? If this is going to work out, then I can't have my social media. So yes, I was going to delete it. Not because I wanted to, but because, to even have something happen, social media had to go. Like, it had to go. To be honest, I didn't have any, I had some people that I could talk to, not really girls that were my friends that I could talk to about this problem and talk about, like, what to do, because, to be honest, like, expressing your feelings to someone, it was kind of a little scary, and it wasn't, because of, like, a lot that has happened, and since last year, it was, like, a lot of confusing things. I'm still confused and trying to figure out everything, I'm confused. I'm not here to bash. I'm not here to shame. I'm not here to be angry, mad, or attack her or expose online, because I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to say anything. To be honest with you, I'm not here to do any of that. This isn't drama. I have a right to be hurt. You know, I spent quality time. Like, I took time out of my day, you know, because I enjoyed being around her. That was a thing that hurts, you know, because I always love spending time, even when she would say, oh, you know, like, it's boring, there's nothing to do. Well, technically, it's not boring if you're with someone you care about, right? Like, it wasn't boring around her. That's why I wanted to be there all the time. And, you know, I don't have all the answers, even though I think I do, even though I think, like, oh, I know. You know, I can't just jump the gun and say something that I'm not 100% sure. But when people come online and make it seem like I'm this crazy stalker, I was this and I was that. No, it was like mixed signals. It was a lot of being led on since last year, you know. Like, and I would get hurt. Like, she would leave, she would come back and start talking to me again. And after the Jonas Brothers concert, something happened, and, you know, we weren't talking. And that hurt. And then when she came back, I was like, and then the last time, right before this time, recently, and then she came back, and I was like, you know, it just hurts. And when people say things that are so not true and spreading misinformation, I was not talking about S and saying that S essayed me. That it was not her. I did not have feelings for her. I did not like her. You know, I did not. We were only friends. Like, yeah, she hung out with the other person. Yeah, she knew the other person. I don't know. But for me, I didn't like her like that. We were just friends. That's it. That's all. I have a right to be hurt and upset. I wouldn't be this upset over something that was not, like, that was me being rejected. I wouldn't come online and say someone sexually assaulted me over being rejected. I've been rejected in the past. If that were the case, I would have said that that person essayed me. Like, that's not it. And to literally be making up fake stuff online because you want me to spill more personal things, I'm not. I'm not sharing everything. You know, I'm trying to keep the peace. No one knows what it's like. Like I said, their whole situation was not good, especially with social media in the mix. It didn't help. And, you know, I told people, please stop. No one wanted to listen. And to be honest, it was a whole bunch of things. And for me, I told myself, like, you know, social media has to go. Like, if this is really going to work out and this really happens, I was going to leave social media because I cared that much. I didn't want, you know, I get it. I don't like to be followed around. I don't like to be, you know, I have to dress and look a certain way. And I don't like that either because people, they pick apart how I look. I literally looked nice for my birthday and someone photoshopped a horrible photo of me and, like, put it on top of my face. Like, this is what you really look like. I have to walk around and not look a certain way because people, literally, they make photos adding extra weight. They talk about my looks all the time. You know, and having someone that cared about me, that didn't judge me because of social media, that didn't, you know, call me ugly or didn't, you know, it's a lot, and it's hard to deal with. And to tell someone that they're not supposed to be like someone said one time on the line, they were like, why are you acting like you're heartbroken when you're not really a heartbroken person? You don't know. You don't know. I'm saying it again because I said it before. I never had a relationship. I was not in a relationship. I wanted one. I was emotionally attached. And it had nothing to do with being rejected. I was not rejected. I was not rejected, so. And yes, be shocked by the 20-year age gap. I mean, hey. What are you gonna do? How do you know she's white? She could have been black. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say anything. Who cares? So what? Who cares? I'm a consenting adult. I'm 32. I was 31. We are both grown consenting adults. I could care less about age unless it's someone who is underage. If you're underage, then yes, of course I care about age. But we are both consenting adults. I am literally 31. I turned 32. Or I was 31 at the time, about to be 32. If I was underage, it would be a whole other different story. Yes, people should care about age. When it's someone that is a minor and they're underage, but after a certain point, like in your 30s, is when people had to stop caring. Like, did I care? No. Like I said, I would care if it was someone that underage, but when it's someone older, that's when when it's someone that is older, that's when age doesn't matter, because I don't want people to be taking this stuff out of context. You should care if it's someone that's underage, but I'm a consenting adult. I'm 31, about to be 32. I was not desperate. I just literally told you we became friends. Then over time, the feelings grew. It wasn't because I was desperate. Mind you, I wasn't expecting to fall in love with someone that was 20 years older than me. I didn't, like, this is a shock to me. Like, you're shocked. I'm shocked. Like, I was not, like, this came out of nowhere. I was not out here trying to look to have a relationship with someone. That's not my thing. I was trying to get my brother married and get a place to live. I was trying to get a house. Like, I was not out here trying to have a relationship. It just happened. It just so happened that my feelings started to grow. And it wasn't because, you know, how when you hang out with someone a lot and then all of a sudden, no, it was more than just that. Like, you know, and to be honest, like, to be truthfully honest, I'm not trying to be here and bash anyone, be angry or be mad or talk crap about someone. Like, it doesn't always have to be about looks 100%. Yes, looks some like, you know, a little bit, but it was a lot more, you know. Like, at the place we were at, we would stay up late and have conversations about things, you know, cool things. A lot of conversations, you know. We would play music sometimes and, you know, laugh and have a good time. And you know, we had a friend group. And that's what, you know, maybe I'm hanging on to that. And I really miss that because we would stay up late, you know, till like 2, 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, just having really cool conversations, making each other laugh, having a good time. And the whole time, like I said, I didn't have to worry about the negative comments or TikTok because I had someone there that made me feel like I deserved to be happy, you know, like at one point, you know, pushing me, being like, you know, you should keep going with the social media thing because prove them wrong. Don't let the haters tell you you can't. Like, you know, just being really super supportive. That was also a thing. Like, a huge supporter. Like, you know, I didn't have to, and even, you know, just like having that person who, you know, it's just hard. It's just really hard. And I'm trying to process that. Like, yeah, so Walmart bathroom. I was not in a Walmart bathroom with someone. No, it is not anyone that people see me with. So, yeah. And I don't think that person's 50. They're old, but I don't think they're 50. Ooh, what is that? Ooh. It's like, yeah, that person is definitely not 50. So let's not spread misinformation. Well, there is that. Yeah, but you can't assume it's anyone that I've been seen with. It doesn't matter. Like, stop being weird. You're gonna let people be rude. You're gonna get blocked. Yes, I did say that. But you literally said it was someone that you see me in the, or that someone see me in the bathroom with at Walmart. No, that's not the person. Like, why are you trying to say it's someone it's not? Like, why would I even be seen out with somebody? That does not make sense. If I know how social media is, why do you think? Like, no. I was just using the bathroom. Nothing was going on. Like, you guys, I never did anything with anyone. I don't know why we're having this conversation. Like I literally said, I'm not out there trying to sleep with somebody. Like, why is it that everyone's brains goes to sleeping with someone? I'm not trying to sleep with anybody. That's not the whole point. For me, I'm not trying to have a relationship with someone to sleep with them. Well, that didn't happen, so. I literally post videos. That does not mean that I literally post videos. And people are saying, oh, you're posting thirst traps. They're literally lip sync videos. Lip sync videos has nothing to do with intimacy. That's really weird. That has nothing to do with anything. I could post whatever I want. It's my page. That has nothing to do with sleeping with someone. Every time I post a lip sync video where I'm wearing makeup or I'm dressed a certain way, oh, she's in heat again. No one said anything. I'm not in heat. I'm not even literally thinking about that. I'm trying to get a place for me and my mom, and I was trying to bury my brother. This was just the unexpected thing that happened. I'm not here to bash. I'm not here to say that I'm mad or angry or talk down or talk bad on someone. I'm not. I'm not here to do any of that. You could twist whatever you want. You could go post and try to make it seem like however you want it to seem. But why are you literally attacking someone for being in love? That does not make sense. I don't understand. Like, I was working on myself. I was talking to a therapist. I was also working on getting a place to live, and people are saying they ain't gonna help you. Well, I'm literally getting help for a place to live. That literally makes no sense. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and you're mad because you're saying I'm not. Because you want to keep continuing to use that as an excuse to harass me. You're mad because the one thing you want me to do is get a job that I already have. I have a job. I'm getting a place to live that I'm going to be paying for. I'm seeking a therapist to talk about my problems. I'm doing everything, and then people, even though I'm doing everything to change my life, you're still trying to sit here, make excuses, and continue to keep things going. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, well, that was stupid of me, Sarah. That was stupid of me. God forbid, yes. And to be honest with you, when it happened, I was blinded, like I said. But even then, if someone sexually assaults you, that does not excuse it. It doesn't matter. You can sit here and say, well, you were still in love with her. Me still being in love with someone has nothing to do with feeling violated. You can still love someone and still be sexually assaulted at the same time. That does not excuse anything. Stop making excuses. Someone could still be in love with someone that, like, let's say abusive relationships. There are lots of women who are in love with their abusers, that are in abusive relationships because they stick around because they're in love with them. That does not diminish the fact that they were being abused. You can't sit here and say, well, you stuck around. You were still in love and he was still abusing you, so that means the abuse didn't happen. Stop victim shaming people. It doesn't matter what was going on, what someone was doing, or anything. That still does not diminish the fact that I was violated, that I felt uncomfortable. It still does not change anything. I could have still been, it doesn't matter. If I was in love with someone, that still does not mean that I was not sexually assaulted. Like, why are we sitting here victim shaming? Women in abusive relationships are still being abused. That does not diminish the fact because they're in love with the person. Sometimes you're in situations where you think, oh, they'll change. You can fix them, I thought, this person, and there was a lot. I'm not even going into it because it's personal stuff. I'm not going to spill any of their personal stuff online. You had to see it from my standpoint. From me, because how I feel. Online, I felt misunderstood. Nobody gets me. Nobody understands me. People love to go run with information that's not true and sit here and talk about me. I felt like in that moment, that person was being misunderstood. I'm not going to lie. People, abandoned the person, and I felt bad. I was there. I was like, I can't leave this person at their lowest. I care, and I still hope they're okay, and I really do care. It's hard for me to, turn that part off, even though I was devastated and I was hurt. Even though it was hurting. Even though these things happened on and off. my feelings were put aside and I didn't care about my feelings. To be honest, I didn't care about myself. Who was there to care about my feelings? Nobody. I'm gonna be honest. If I was constantly being hurt, I didn't care as long as that person was happy. And they weren't worried about their problems. And it just went away. You know, I could picture my brother with his friends. And whenever they were having a bad time or they weren't feeling so good, he tried to make them laugh. That was his thing. And for me, it wasn't about, oh, I'm not taking care of my responsibilities, you know, let's go do something. It was because I was like, you know, maybe if I just made all the problems go away, I wish I could have made all the problems go away, that I could have just fixed it. And maybe I couldn't because it wasn't my situation to fix. And so be it. So what? That does not diminish the fact that I was violated. That does not diminish the fact that I was essayed. Yes, maybe I was stupid, but I couldn't help it because I tried. I tried my best. And it wasn't good enough. And I don't care if people question. I don't care what people have to say. I'm just holding it in is like affecting me. Health-wise, I'm having issues because I'm stressed. I have to just, it's hard. You can't just shut that off or move on. Sometimes I tell myself, you know, you gotta let go, but then, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Because I don't want to make it a bigger situation than what it is. I don't have to explain myself why I'm not reporting it. I don't need to explain to you or anyone. Saying that I didn't report it, it does not diminish the fact that it happened. Again, reporting something does not mean it didn't happen. That is so stupid. Just because someone reports things, people can report things and still lie. Let's make that 100% clear. Just because you report something doesn't mean it's true. That girl reported on that guy, right? And said that he raped her. He lost his football scholarships. He lost his whole life. He sat wrongfully accused of something until finally she admitted she lied. She didn't lose her life. She didn't lose out on mostly half of her life. She didn't have to go to jail for lying. Just because someone doesn't report something or doesn't does not mean it didn't happen. People report things all the time and lie. Well, you don't even know who it is, so. Well, I'm not ugly, so. Like I said, like, okay, for me personally, like, right, you're saying she could essay more women. I'm not even going to get into that situation because I'm not even going to, I don't know everything. Like I said, I'm confused myself and I'm still trying to figure it out. Even though I think I have the answers, I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not talking about, I feel like I know some things because I'm not even going to assume. I'm just going to leave it at that. All I know is no more women are going to be involved. Well, I don't know. That's what I assume. There's reasons. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to assume because I feel like the whole social media thing, that's a whole other thing in of itself. And from what I pieced together, I'm not even gonna say it. It's what I feel is not being truthfully honest and lying to me and not telling me the truth about the real situation. And that's that. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, why are we sitting here literally victim shaming and trying to justify any way that we can? Like, it doesn't diminish the fact that I was violated, that I was assayed. That does not diminish anything. Like, hello? I have not lied. I literally have proof from GoFundMe that I didn't scam anyone. People want to sit here and say I scam people out of a GoFundMe. I didn't lie about that. When I asked people for money, when people raised money to help me to literally pay for my rent, I paid my rent and I showed the receipt that the rent was paid. The money went towards the rent. When people raised money on GoFundMe to help me pay for certain things, it went. Not once have I ever come on this app and lied. Yes, maybe I did. Maybe I did say some things because I was trying to protect myself and my identity. When I came on here and said that I was straight at the time, maybe in some instances I did feel like that. But then recently, I'm trying to protect myself to keep myself safe because the situation is not good. Because the situation I'm in, I can't be in love with a woman because being gay is wrong. And I cannot explain that to anyone. You guys know that. You guys know how religion is. You guys know that religion, they use the Bible, and I see it online and I see it everywhere, especially with Pride Month coming up. I've heard a lot of hateful rhetoric around Pride. I've heard a lot of hateful rhetoric around the fact that a lot of religious people are saying being gay is wrong. I had to try to protect myself from being safe, because look at all the people getting attacked. Look at the trans people getting attacked for being trans, getting beat up in the street, and literally saying that you would never get hate crime. That's not what I'm talking about. But yes, I have been told that me being gay was wrong. Not even gay, being bi and liking two genders was wrong. And that's why I don't talk about being bi a lot, because I'm trying to protect myself until I get a safe space. People don't understand that, and you're just literally defending homophobia. I'm going through this alone. I don't have anyone to go through this with me. About the whole liking both genders and dealing with the hate and being told I was gonna go to hell. You just don't know. And then liking someone like that and realizing that and trying to understand it and know, to be honest, the type of feelings I had for this person was different. And yes, I did or find another woman attractive. I'm not gonna lie, before this person, but it was recently. Well, not recently, but last year. And when it was somewheres. It wasn't someone that stayed at the shelter. But yeah, anyways. So then after that, I just started having feelings for this person. I was trying to process that because I came to the realization of my identity and myself. And then, when something would happen, I couldn't go talk to this person because I would talk to them hey, they said this and that really hurt me. Just hearing that it's in the Bible and that we need, and hearing that online, it's in the Bible, you need to come to Christ, you need to repent of that or you're gonna go to hell. These are things that I'm trying to be safe, and people just wants me to be unsafe. People wants me to be unstable. They want to make up things. I know that I lack self-love and respect. I lacked it because, to be honest with you, when someone's telling you you're beautiful, you're pretty, and they're making you feel like you mean something, that to me, I never had that. And yes, I've had people in the past, but it's never been the way that this was. You know what I mean? Like, and it hurts because I'm tired of being led on by people, especially online, right? Like, online, I've had people literally make it seem like they were in love with me, like they were interested, like all of these feelings, and then, you know, they just yeet. And people make jokes about that. That's not funny. Like I said, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I can't help that. And it sucks because it's just like, I keep getting hurt. You wouldn't understand what that's like. You know, you think, oh, you found someone who wasn't gonna do that. You believed it. And then to make me feel like I'm wrong because of how I felt. Okay. That does not diminish the fact of what happened to me. Again, even if I said I was blinded, even if I said I still love that person, that does not mean that it's okay for them to do what they did. And that does not mean that you get to sit here and say, well, if you don't report it, it never happened. Like, can we not victim shame people? It's so crazy. Like, God forbid. You guys have all been probably in a situation like this before. You've been led on by someone. You've been hurt by someone. You've been heartbroken by someone. And you act like you've never went through this. Like, you would, if you were in my situation, you probably would have done it a lot differently than you say. You sit here and you tell people how to do it, but you wouldn't do it that way either. You wouldn't have done it that way. And you know you wouldn't have. All I cared about was other people's happiness, because I didn't want them to be hurting. I'm sorry if I care that I want other people to be safe and happy. God forbid I care about anyone else but myself. You know? Yeah, you learned, right? For me, it's hard because, like I said, I've never been in a relationship. I've never dated anyone. Hello? Of course, obviously, that's all I know, especially if someone's showing that they really care. Obviously, I'm going to believe it. When I say I really love someone, I mean it. I don't sit here and lie like that. I didn't think anything of it. And the fact that someone says I deserve to be a saint is really weird. No, I couldn't see my mom for my birthday, and that's what's making me upset, is that I can't be with my mom. And I'm trying to get us a place. There's so many changes happening. There's so much happening. There's a lot. Yeah, because the reason why I am still one is because I'm not trying to be out here and sleep with someone, you know? And to be honest, yes, I'm waiting for the right person. I'm not going to lie. And, you know, whether or not it's in the Bible that, oh, you should wait till marriage or whatever, you know, for me, you know, if it's the right time, it's the right time. Like, I'm not just trying to go rush to sleep with someone. That's why. You know, I've had opportunity, but I'm not out here. That's not me. I've already said I'm a hopeless romantic. For me, it's not about sleeping with somebody or having that. You have to understand, that's a soul tie. Whatever you do with someone, their problems are going to get stuck to you. When you get close with someone like that, and they have a lot of baggage issues that they carry on them in their soul, that's going to attach to you, and you're going to carry those problems with you. I'm not out here just trying to sleep with anybody, so who cares? Why are you making fun of someone for waiting? Maybe it's a good thing that I wait. Right? Like, why are we shaming someone saying you're 32 and you never... So what? So what? Why? Do I have to go sleep with someone just because? Can we not? Like, why is it such a big deal about things? Oh, like, yes, it's like what she said in Clueless. You're a virgin and you can't drive. Okay, yeah, so be it. I'm 32 and you know, there's a lot of things. I don't have my driver's license. I'm working on that. You know, yes, I never slept with someone. I could have just slept with someone, but I chose not to because I was waiting. I'm not trying to run to sleep with people. Who cares? Why are you literally picking on someone for that? You try to find everything to pick and nitpick and bring someone down on. How did I make it to the concert in the casino? Well, the concert, I took a lift. When I went to the Jonas Brothers concert, I went by Lyft. The casino, my friend was taking me. And I wasn't even spending my own money at the casino, by the way. Who said I am comfortable with my life? That's why I'm going to therapy, so I can talk about my issues. Hello? I don't know what you're saying, so I could get a lift to my mom. First of all, the Jonas Brothers concert was last year. Why are we talking about something from last year? I can't get a lift now. I don't got money for that. I only got money for the few things I can do. Saying, oh, well, you got a cake. $20 is not going to get me over there to see my mom. It's a $50 trip there and a $50 trip back. I don't got $100 just to go and come back. And plus, like I said, I was suspended the last time I left. They're not going to allow me on property. So how am I going to go see my mom if I can't even step foot on property? You're not understanding that because social media lied to them and told them I was trying to harm myself. So they said I had to get evaluated before I could come back. You don't need an evaluation to stay at a shelter. They lied because the lady that got fired there did not like me due to the fact that I became friends with this older woman who I don't know. I messaged her, she didn't answer, so like I said, that person, I think she passed away, and I'm trying not to be upset about it, but because I know she would have answered me. She hasn't answered. But anyways, she had a heart condition she was dying from. That's why I feel the way that I feel, because she had a heart condition she was dying from. And the last message she sent me was this really long, supportive message talking about how I was strong and how, I guess she said my mom would be proud of me or something, I don't remember. All the stuff that I'm dealing with social media and how I'm strong and I push and I persevere through that. Anyways, I was having an issue and I wanted to talk to her, and I had messaged her and said, hey, how are you doing? And then no response. So I believe she passed away. So that's something that I'm dealing with, as well as the grief, because I don't know. Like, I haven't seen her or talked to her in a while. I don't go live to argue with people. They argue with me. No, my mom didn't pass away. It was somebody else. No, that's not what she wants me to think. Because she would have answered me. Trust me, I know. No, she didn't pretend to pass away. That's what I'm saying. Because she did have a stroke. She had or a heart attack. She had a major heart attack or something minor. And she told me about it. And from what I know, she was dying of a heart condition. So that's why. And no, she's not trying to get away from me. I don't know why people say that. She was helping me with the lawyer, by the way, because I told her about the social media stuff. So she said, you could get a pro bono lawyer. Mind you, she had a lot of lawsuits. She had a big one with Wells Fargo. She was in lawsuits with people, suing them. She was the one that had a lot of information. And with everything that was going on social media, she was trying to help me because I did tell her about the harassment. I did tell her about the doxing. There was a lot of stuff that was happening at the other shelter. To be honest, they tried to say that I was filming. There was some things which I don't know if this person is watching or not. I'm not saying anything bad, but one of the workers it was a whole thing with one of the workers. And basically she knew me from social media, and then some stuff started happening, and basically it was a whole thing. And to be honest, in the situation, yes, the person that I liked was involved. I don't know if she was interested. She wanted her. And the thing is that it pushed everyone away. And then I had nobody. My friends were gone. They left. And so what happened is that that lady, which I know, came to me after the whole situation and said, if you need anyone to talk to, I'm here. That's basically what she said. If you need anyone to talk to, because about my whole situation of losing my brother, which she knew, well, kind of, because she knew me from social media. And I thought that was odd, because to me, oh, so now my friends are gone. You know, they're not here, and now you're telling me to come confide in you. And I'm not trying to say this in a rude way. Maybe she meant it to be genuine, but there were some other things, and I'm not even going to get into it. And to be honest, that's not okay. And then I know who told. I really did. I left property to go live. And I guess it was being said that I was going live on property. And I know exactly who it was. I know exactly everything that was going on, how I was being treated because of my social media, how they were trying to use my social media as an excuse to not give me any housing help. Yes, and I had to go live. Like, nobody understands. I left property to go live because I had to pay my phone bill. I have to pay my storage. These are things that I have to keep up. My storage still isn't paid, and I'm worried. I'm waiting for Timu and then I didn't set up the video right, so I had to redo it. And I know I'm going to get paid, but I hope in time, because if not, I'm going to lose my storage. So there's that. It was a whole situation, and I was trying, and then it was another situation I had to get involved in. Well, I didn't have to. A conversation got brought up, and then basically it stemmed from that. And then he said that I had to tell someone and that I wasn't going to be exited, to turn around. And then they said that they was going to exit me because it was a whole conspiracy, which was not true. I think they seen something on the camera they wasn't supposed to see. And they tried to cover it up because it was a whole cover-up. It was a cover-up. I'm not going to lie. What does any of this stuff have to do with having a job? Someone literally being heartbroken has nothing to do with a job. That's not going to prevent you from being heartbroken. Literally being treated a certain way or literally covering up things like a cover up like that has nothing to do with a job. It's almost as if you sound stupid. Oh, I got major depression. Let me go get a job. Then I'll no longer have depression. That's dumb. So some of you guys that say you work with PTSD and depression, you no longer have that because you work. Because you have a job, it went away. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Who literally said I'm more worried about a relationship? I have to wait for my housing. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that housing just does not happen overnight. They cannot get me a place right away. I don't understand what you're saying. I am working on a place and I'm talking to my therapist. All I have to do is wait. I've been in contact with the people for housing. To sit here and say I'm worried about a relationship, yes, I have a right to be upset while also working on my housing. They're helping me. I'm waiting. That's what I'm doing. I didn't put my housing aside to care about a relationship. Stop making excuses so you can continue to bully and harass someone. That is so annoying. You want to sit here to continue and to use things as an excuse to bully and harass me because you know when I change my life and when I do what I'm supposed to, you have no excuse whatsoever to harass me. So you can't lie to people and tell them why you're harassing me. Just say you want to be a big bully and move on. The only reason you want to continue to keep things going, which you don't care about any of that, is so you can continue to use that as an excuse. Well, if you work, then you no longer have depression. Because by your logic, or by that person's logic, they said if you work, you wouldn't have these issues. So you work, so you shouldn't have depression. You see how dumb that sounds? And you sat there and you saw that person say that, and you didn't say anything. Some of you guys really need to use your brain. Speak up and say something. I'm not working with depression. You got me all messed up if you think I'm working with depression or PTSD. I'm not going to break down at a job and get fired because I'm not doing my job. I know that I cannot work. You can work, and that's good for you. I can't work. So, if I can't work, then why does that bother you? Who cares? We're not all the same with depression. Major depression, if you have major depression, we're not all the same. You and I are not the same person. You need to stop diminishing people and stop telling them that everyone with major depression is the same. You or I don't even act the same. You don't know what I have to deal with. And yes, sometimes major depression for some of us is debilitating. I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't even want to shower some days, even though I have to. I don't even want to cook. I don't even want to function. I don't even want to enjoy life. My major depression is hard and it's beating me down, and I'm talking with a therapist to help fix that. My PTSD is bad, and it doesn't matter. Yes, everyone has PTSD and depression, but you can function at a job where I can't. I'm not going to go work a job to get fired because I'm not doing my job. I don't have motivation to do anything. And the only reason why I do social media is because I don't have money to pay for my bills. I have to be making money. I'm making money getting paid from Temu to do these ads. If it wasn't for Temu, I wouldn't be able to pay for my storage, much less low my phone bill. I am trying to function the best that I can and do what I can. It does not matter what type of job I have. Whether it's social media, whether it's a real job or not, if I'm paying my bills, if I'm paying my rent, if I'm affording to live, then why does it bother you? Again, you're liars. If you really want to sit here and say, well, you need to change, you need to work on yourself, and I'm going to therapy, and I'm making a living income, then okay, I'm doing what you asked. Social media is a job, whether you like it or not. I just said why I don't have a house. Do you not understand why I don't have a house? Because I'm waiting. You know wait lists are a thing. I cannot walk up to them and say, hey, I'm Tophia Slide Out. Give me a place to live. That's not how it works. There are people ahead of me. There's a lot of people trying to get housing. And no, I'm not under Section 8. I can go to the mall. You know why I went to the mall? Because I literally don't have to pay $50 to go see somebody I don't have money for. I didn't spend $50 at the mall, by the way. What, you're going to bring up the Hello Kitty? Okay, go ahead. Bring that up. I just explained why I can't go see my mom. I'm not going to pay a lot of money for a lift to go down there to be told to leave the property. I cannot be on property, so where am I going to go see my mom? How am I going to go see my mom if they're not going to allow me on property? I'm not allowed on property, so I can't go see her. It has everything to do with the ride as well, you know, right? Because I could have paid for a lift to go over there, but I'm not wasting money to go over there to be told that I have to leave, because I already know I have to talk to a supervisor before I go back on property. I never went back there. You guys literally falsely reported to them and said that I tried to harm myself after the whole situation of me trying to harm myself. So then ACS showed up while I'm sitting there till 12 o'clock in the morning. You know that I almost got dumped under a bridge and all I had on was a hoodie because they told me that I couldn't be on property. They didn't even tell me what was going on until 12 o'clock in the morning, so I could have found a place to go. I had to pay for a motel room. Luckily, I had the money from social media, or else I would have been under a bridge. All because you lied, and you want to sit here and act like it's my fault, but you've been harassing me for how long? You literally love to sit here and act like it's my fault. I'm not the one who called the shelter and lied. I was going and sleeping and trying to do social media off property so I can have a place to stay. They said I had to be evaluated in order to come back. I didn't come back. I didn't go back because I didn't want to have to deal with that. You don't know what it's like. Luckily, I had them take me to a motel room that I paid for a couple of nights because I didn't have a place. I'm going to report your account and force you to face reality. How about that? You know, if you don't like me, and I'll help block you. You can report this level you want. That's not going to stop me from anything. You're not stopping me. I'm not even crying. So... I don't even know what happened. I really don't. It's a hot night because my phone is overheating. There we go. I don't know why it's blurry. I don't know what happened. It just like turned off. Hold on. Oh, look, I could turn my camera off. Cool. You know what's funny? When you say that you've seen homeless and disabled people get jobs, why should disabled people have to work? Literally telling someone, especially because if that's the case and you can see homeless disabled people getting work, then why don't you help them to not work? Why do you want disabled people to work? Are you that heartless? You know that disabled people shouldn't have to work. Why don't you make a GoFundMe like all of these other content creators and help retire them and help them so they don't have to work? If you really want to claim that you don't want to donate to people that are scamming, then why don't you help those that you know need help? You don't have to be Bezos to help. You clearly can see that someone is disabled, but you're okay with the disabled person working. Well, then if that's the case and you can't help, then why don't you take to the streets and boycott? Why don't you take to the streets and protest disabled people having to work and fight for them to not have to work and to get paid more disability so they don't have to work, so they can make a living off of their disability? You don't have to do it money-wise, then go protest. You have no excuse why you can't protest. Start a protest. Take to the streets. There you go. Since you want to make excuses, you look at a disabled person working and your brain tells you that's okay. That's weird. No disabled person should have to work. Just because you think disabled people can function at a job, and then saying, I'm not disabled. Well, I am. There's reasons why I can't protest. Like, I'm dumb. So, you know what's crazy? Ableist. Nobody said disabled people can't work. Disabled people shouldn't have to work. That's the thing. You're not understanding. Disabled, and some of you guys should know this. Disabled people can't make too much money, by the way. Disability does not give enough for people to live off of. So that's why some disabled people work. No one's saying that disabled people can't work. I said they shouldn't have to. Some of them don't have a choice because they have to make a living. Their disability is not enough. And for those who really don't want to work, shouldn't have to. But they don't have a choice. Those who choose to work can if they want to. No one's saying disabled people can't. Weird. Don't try to twist what I said. This live stream is recorded, by the way. I could repost this if I wanted to. Yes, disabled people can live normal lives, but some of them don't even choose to work. They have to because they can't make a living with their disability alone. Disability is not enough. Trust me, I know. My dad was getting disability. It was not enough. You're not understanding what I'm saying because you're trying to misunderstand it on purpose. And you ain't going to do that because this live stream is recorded and I could repost it. Nobody's going to lie on me. The whole live stream will be reposted. But here's the thing. What you are describing, right? Because let me read your comment again. It says, if a disabled person can work without their mind, body being damaged, I'd say yes. They should be able to. Coming from someone who cannot mentally handle several types of jobs full time. That alone is ableism. You can't assume based off of how someone looks if they're able to work functionally at a job or not. That is literally internalized ableism. You are disabled, right? But you're doing internalized ableism. Looking at someone, if I was to look at someone and they didn't have no crutches, no wheelchair, and they didn't look disabled, for me, I can't, and let's say they didn't look disabled, like that lady, right? She didn't look disabled to this lady, and she parked in a handicap parking spot with a handicap sticker. The lady said, you can't park there, you're not disabled. She hobbled out of the car. She got out. She had crutches, I believe, but she didn't see her with her crutches. But let's say there was someone with no crutches. There was someone who got out and it looked like they walked perfectly fine. They had a disabled sticker and they looked perfectly fine. That's ableism. I can't sit here and say, ma'am, you can't park there. You don't look disabled. People don't have to look disabled. People can look like they can function at a job and still not be able to function. We cannot sit here and decide what we think someone can and cannot do. You can't sit here and assume someone can work a job. You can't say, well, oh, you can go do all these things. I'm doing all these things to mask my hurt, my pain, and what I'm going through. I go out and do things so I don't have to sit here and be depressed, which I could easily do. I do a lot of the time. I don't go out every single day. I am hurting. I am going through things. Just because I go out and shop, just because I do things does not mean it's okay. I'm trying not to have a breakdown in the middle of Walmart and start crying in front of people and start bawling my eyes, because even if I cry, people are going to look at me like, who's this weirdo? No one stops to care to say, hey, are you okay, when they see someone crying. I cannot function in society because I'm crying all the time. I've been through so much hurt and pain and heartbreak that I'm trying to keep my composure and my mind full of away from negative thoughts. When I go somewhere and have a good time, I'm not having a good time. I want to break down and cry the whole time I'm there. When I'm shopping at Walmart, getting my groceries, I just want to fall to the floor and cry. when I'm out going to do something, I can't enjoy myself. My mom is not with me. My brother is dead. I had to process that someone I thought was the love of my life didn't love me. It was all I was being led on. And I'm confused and still trying to process that. I'm trying to understand everything on top of my housing and why I'm getting treated the way I'm getting treated. My brain does not function like everyone else's. I want to lay down and not get up every day. I can't do that. I want to not function. When I went to the Hello Kitty truck, I was excited to stand in line, but the whole time, my brain was just sad. Do you know what someone had the nerve to tell me? They had the nerve to yell out of their mom van, their raggedy gray van, "Go home." That ruined my whole day. Like, I'm not supposed to enjoy myself. And I went and I was happy in line. And the whole time I wasn't really happy. And I have to put on this face. People film me all the time. If I'm crying in public, someone's going to film that and then post it. I don't have a private life. If I'm being seen with someone, oh, you're dating them. You don't know what it's like for me. When I step out, when I go somewheres, I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not having a good time. People assume I have to put on a face and act like I'm happy. 'Cause I don't need to be some joke for the internet because I'm depressed. Major depressed, I'm upset. And then people start laughing. Look, she's crying in public. I'm not your jester. I'm not here to perform for you and be your entertainment. My life is not your entertainment. Nobody said I was crying in public. I don't cry in public. Because if I get upset, then people catch me. Yes, I'm drinking from the Hello Kitty cup. Yeah, because I am a very emotional person. I'm really emotional. I cry a lot. I can't help that. So what? Are you making fun of somebody for crying a lot? Yes, I cry a lot. Call me a big baby. So what? I'm hurting. I have never been able to process anything since before my brother passed away. I'm always in constant trigger. I've been harassed so much so. I've had so much things happen to me. I haven't processed anything from the next. Do you know that when my grandmother died, my other grandmother died? And yes, I didn't have some sort of slight feeling. I was kind of sad. But to be honest, my dad's mom was never a good grandmother. She was really rude, mean. And, there was a lot of things in the relationship. And I tried to have a conversation with her on Facebook. I tried to, maybe I said, hey, if I talk to her, maybe she would want a relationship with me. The only reason she contacted me on Facebook was for money. My mom's mom died, and I would go visit her a lot. I would go to her house. I would go hang out with her. I would talk with her. We would have conversations, and I don't have that. I have to go talk to a grave. My friend died at the same time. On my birthday, by the way. And I still hadn't been able to process that. Then I was being evicted. Oh, and before I was being evicted, I had a pericardial effusion and almost died and had to get surgery because I had a heart condition that almost killed me. So yeah, I almost died. My dad stopped taking his medication, was having a manic episode. I was trying to go to the BTS concert. I went to the BTS concert, saw BTS the whole time. I almost got stranded in Vegas. On top of that, I had to figure out how to get home. Luckily, some kind person on the internet gave me half of the money I needed for my ticket back. Thank God I didn't spend any of the money because someone gave me money for In-N-Out and I had to use that for a ticket back. Then that whole situation happened where I had to come back home to my dad having a manic episode and having to deal with that because he was not on his medication. Then what happened was I went to okay, we're back. Well, that was not the issue. Okay, so I'm going to explain the whole situation. So what happened was I made it to, so I get there to get my bus. They said I missed the bus because Z-Trip came late. Mind you, I called them. So I called the cab company way ahead of time. So what happened was I had planned it. So I told them what day and what time they needed to be there way before. I didn't call them the day of to pick me up. I called them and I planned it. They didn't show up on time. When I got there, they said, oh, the bus is gone. And I said, okay. Well, then, because it was going to take me 2 days to get there, so I thought. So then this other bus, the same bus that I was getting, they said I would get there in time. I did get there in time. So I paid $20 for them to fix my ticket. He said round trip. He looked at me and he said round trip. And I said, yeah, round trip means there and back, right? So I did round trip. When I get there the day of, the bus was late. They said the bus is going to be late, so you're going to leave late. Okay, fine. He's trying to fix my ticket. He says, your ticket's not a round trip. And I said, what? I said, the guy even looked at me and told me round trip. And he had the ticket. They had the ticket in a safe, but they couldn't unlock it because they didn't have the key. I don't know, something happened. They couldn't find the key. They didn't have access to the safe that had my ticket in it. Whatever the case. So then while I'm there, I says, well, can I change my ticket? He said, well, you have to call this number, right? So then I said, oh, so I can get my ticket changed because I'm not going to get on this bus, get over there, and be stranded. And he said, oh, yeah, he assured me everything would be fine. So I got on the bus because I was reassured. So then I get there only to be told it's going to take 72 hours to fix my ticket. I said, I don't got 72 hours. I was only going to be there for 2 days. No, for a day and a half. And this guy is telling me he can't fix my ticket. That's what the whole situation was. So then I was misled to get on this bus. You know. So yeah. That's what happened. I didn't go over there with no ride back. I had everything planned. I get home, and then my brother had invited me. This was like a week after, I don't know how long after. He says, hey, do you want to go to the Backstreet Boys concert? And I was like, yeah, sure, Backstreet Boys. My brother's a huge Backstreet Boys fan, and I was like, I'm not missing this. I go to the Backstreet Boys concert. I get home. I think it was a week after I get sick. And, you know, obviously, COVID was a thing. I had my vaccine. I got vaccinated. And so I had a few symptoms, but I didn't have all the symptoms. So I went and I took a test, and it came back I had COVID. So here I am coming home to my dad that has manic episodes. He threw all my stuff away, mind you. I had this sewing machine I got from this lady that would have yard sales for $10. A lot of the table my grandma gave me, that was the last thing I had on my grandmother, because he took the table. He was using my table, and my mom said, he started throwing stuff away, right? He was throwing a lot of stuff that he said was garbage, which wasn't. He wasn't throwing his stuff away. So my mom got mad and snapped at him and said, then why don't you throw that table away? If you're throwing our stuff away, then why don't you throw your stuff away? And I told her, Mom, no, that's the table Grandma gave me. And she said, oh, and it was too late. So he said, yeah, I'll throw it. He goes, that's what he said. He said, okay, then I'll throw it. So he threw that away. That was one of the last things I had of my grandmother. Mind you, I had an empty Coke can from when I drank Coke in the hospital when she was slowly dying. I kept that. I kept a quarter from when we used the vending machine when at the hospital. I kept a lot of things. You know, it may be stupid to keep certain things, like a glove that I had to wear when she was barely breathing. Every memento from the 4 days that my grandmother was dying, I kept every little thing, because it was a reminder. I didn't have a lot of things that my grandma gave me, because we lost it all in the storage. The only thing I hung on to was that table. She gave me that table. It was an old, like, little desk table thing. And my dad threw it away. He threw it away. Because my mom got mad and told him to throw it away, not realizing that was mine. But there was nothing I could do, because sometimes he would take my stuff and he would be like, mine. That's mine. It wasn't ours. He would just take it. He would sometimes go in my brother's room, and he knew not to take my brother's stuff. He would take my stuff sometimes. Then after I caught COVID, we were being evicted. Then I had to deal with being evicted. Then I had to deal with the harassment and everything else. And then I had to deal with living in a car, trying to find a place to live, trying to get my dad on medication, my dad in and out of jail. I haven't been able to process anything since then. There is always something happening, and I shouldn't have to come online and explain, because people think I'm functioning. I'm not a functioning person. And then I have to go outside and try not to cry when I leave to go somewhere, because it's hard, it's heavy, it hurts. Why should I have to explain? Why should I even have to come on the internet and explain why I was in love with somebody? Why even ask that question? Yes, you do choose who you love, but why should you have to explain why you're in love with someone? That's like someone asking you, well, why are you in love with your boyfriend? If someone asks you that, why should you even have to answer? Like I said, I was not out here trying to date anybody. It just happened. I couldn't help that. Yes, I could choose who I like, who I love. I was not actively looking for a relationship. The feelings just, bam. I couldn't really just be like, yes, I am going to be honest, I was trying to get me and my mom a place to live and get my brother buried. It had nothing to do with trying to have a relationship. Oh my god. Is it still not gonna work? No, I didn't click that. And I did because I was upset. I'm emotionally upset. I'm hurting. It's not asking questions. It's people being stupid and trying to say that you care more about a relationship than you do getting a place to live. That was not the case. Why do I vent? I just literally said why I spoke up about things because it was hurting me to hold it in. I don't know why I have to talk to you about this. I journal already. I already journal stuff down. I already talked to a therapist. I already talked to other people. I'm still holding it in because I cannot lie because I keep coming on social media, especially when I do show my face and crying and then having to explain, oh, I'm just upset. And then not being able to say anything. I already do those things. For me, it's to help me get it over it. Not even get over it, because I'm not going to get over it right away. To heal. I am trying to heal. How am I going to heal if I keep holding these emotions in? I literally journal. When people say go write in a journal, I literally journal. I also talk to a therapist. I also talk to other people. I was still coming online crying and trying to hold it in. I can't anymore, considering the fact that I was sexually assaulted by someone I thought loved me, and I have to process that. Well, people online are telling me it didn't happen because I don't want to report it, or victim shaming me. Great. The stuff that I journal, I'm not even spilling on social media. What I'm telling you is not literally something I haven't told my therapist. I already talked to my therapist about this. This is not something for the therapist, because even if I talk to a therapist, I'm still holding my emotions in because I'm not telling you guys what's going on and I'm crying. Hello? I just literally said why I told y'all. Yeah, you're mad because you're like, I don't know about you. You have an unfortunate looking face. And you're here talking about how I'm being a victim. So manly of you to be mad over a woman's emotions. That's weird. No wonder why women don't want to date men. And then you get so mad. You're the type of man to be mad at a lesbian because she wants to be with a woman and saying, oh, if you just let me have one night with you, you'll see why you really want to be with a man. No, women don't want to be with men because they're horrible human beings. Let's really get into it. Over here trying to tell me how I'm supposed to feel about my emotions, and you're a man. You're weird. Why don't you go address that man that stabbed that girl 34 times? Because she rejected him. You do know that, right? 34 times. And I saw the video and I tried to pause it and it wouldn't pause. And I was freaking out at what I was seeing on my Instagram feed. This guy just walked right up to her and wham, right in the back of her head, and then continued to keep stabbing her 34 times because she rejected him. I don't care how you feel about my emotions. You're a man. You don't get to sit here and tell me how I should feel about someone, that I should journal, because you're too manly to express your feelings, because your dad probably told you not to cry, because he probably called you a sissy if you cried. That's not my issue. That's your daddy issues. Oh, men gotta act tough. Men are not supposed to cry. Cry. Who cares? Why do men think if they cry, they're sissy? You're not sissy if you cry. You have the right to have emotions like anyone else. It does not make you a girl if you cry. Okay? If a man cries, it does not make him a girl. You're not a sissy. You have emotions. Cry. Like, why do men have to insert themselves in something that has nothing to do with them? It's always a man. It was like that post said. All of women's problems are because of a man. Menopause has men in it. Menstrual has men in it. There was some other stuff. It was some other words that have men in it. Mental illness, men. Right? Okay. Like, it always has to be that one man. Like, seriously. I am not delusional. Men are the reason of a lot of women's problems. I realized something. At one of the shelters I was at, one of the ladies had mentioned that we are all here at the shelter because of a man. And it was 100% true. That carjacking was not a woman that jacked the car. That was a man. All the issues that women had and why they were at the shelter was because of a man. That's not delusional. Anyways, I just literally said that men want me. To literally make the excuse that I was in love with a woman because no man wanted me. That was not it. I do have someone that wants me. I literally am not interested. Like I said, I'm not out here trying to look for a relationship. There are men who have literally expressed their feelings for me, and I told them that I'm not interested in them like that. Okay, whatever. Whatever you believe. Believe it. Yeah, but I also got essayed by men. Twice. 2 different men. I've also encountered really creepy men. I've never encountered a really creepy woman. Yeah, the person I was in love with was not creepy. Yes, they did essay me, and I'm not gonna okay that or justify that, but I've encountered creepy men that have tried to get me to go to their place and sleep with them. Predatory men, pedophilic men who were trying to get with me when I was 19 and they were like in their 50s and 60s. One man who literally said that I was around his daughter's age trying to get with me and was talking to my mom, and my mom said, well, I don't know, you have to go through her dad. She was kind of joking, but then when we got off the bus, she said, that guy was weird. And I was like, yeah, he was drunk and he was trying to get with me again. So, when I was 10, I couldn't consent to something that happened to me. I was 10 years old, and at the time, my brother had a friend who was named Tyler. And Tyler had said, do you want to go out? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go out. You know, my dad probably would have not allowed it. To be honest with you, I was 10. He was in middle school, and I was in elementary school. So there's that. So anyways, he said, do you want to go out? I was like, yeah, sure. We used to go hang out at my apartment. What we would do is we would make like this little fort. And we would get under the table. And my brother would read scary stories to tell in the dark because I had that book. And I got it from the book fair. When the book fair came, that was the book I got because I love that book. He was reading, and it was dark, mind you, because we had made a fort, so you couldn't really see anything under there. And my dad came in the room, but we were under the table in a fort. And at that time, I don't think anything was happening, really. So then he literally, I don't know if he asked, can I? Or I don't remember. All I know is he started groping me. And he was like, he grabbed my boobs. And he was just like really touching them. Because obviously, at that time when I was 10, I had hit puberty a lot faster than other girls. So yes, my boobs were really big at 10. That does not okay anyone to do what they did. So it went on for a while. It was just not even a grab. He just kept on, right? And he was like messing with them or whatever. It's really hard to talk about this and even having to explain that. And at the time, a lot of my brother's friends would make jokes. And I remember, I'll get into this other incident. So then, after he stopped, I was worried that I would get in trouble if I said anything to my parents. So that's why I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself. My parents, now my mom probably knows, but I never really told them anything. I kept it to myself because at that time I was worried that my dad might blame me and say that it was my fault, even though I knew that I had parents that I could go to. But yeah, so anyways, that happened. We get out from under the table, and at that point I had never seen her or talked to him after that, because he up and left. At that time, he wasn't really, before he up and left, he wasn't really talking to me. He wasn't really, like, talking about the relationship. He was acting like as if we weren't dating, and I was like, okay. And to me, I was really confused, like, oh, you wanted to date me. You asked me out, and then, like, you know, you're being really distant. To me, I'm 10 years old, okay? I don't fully understand. My brain's not developed. So then, yeah, so then that happened. And then the apartments I lived in, there was these two older kids. They were in high school. They cornered me. Both of them cornered me, and they start talking about my private parts and making inappropriate jokes, being like, it's so hairy down there that you can braid it, or it's so hairy down there it's like a forest. Like, all of these things, and I was just like crying. And I don't know, for me that's really weird. I'm 10 and these people are, these teenagers are in high school. Like, imagine saying that to someone that is 10. Mind you, I was trying to process everything at that time. My brain wasn't fully developed. I only had 2 friends that pretended to be my friends. Mind you, there was all of these things going on. There was a lot going on. Like, my brother's friends would make sexual jokes. One of the kids was 8, and some of them were older in middle school, but one of the boys was around his age, was 8, and he would make inappropriate jokes. He would make humping motions. The way he was talking was like he learned it from his parents. My brother was 7 at the time, because we're 3 years apart. 7, 8, no wait. He was 8, I think, because 8, 9, 10, yeah. But this kid's name was Chris, and Chris would make very inappropriate jokes, and for me, I'm like, why is he saying that? Like, he must be hearing what his parents are saying, and his parents didn't care, and he would make jokes like that. And I didn't have friends, so I would hang out with my brother's friends. They had my brother's friend had an abandoned car, and we would get in there, and we would hang out like a little club type thing. But then, you know, like when you, like SpongeBob and Patrick and Squidward, when they had that club, it was like that. And so anyways, when they would say stuff to me, I would just get out, and then I would start crying. Like, I didn't know how to process that. Like, these older boys were saying things to me, and it made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't know how to process that. So then, I'm coming from the art place on the bus. In elementary school. I was in elementary school, and we were living with my grandma at the time. And my friend's grandmother went to take her grandpa's drunk brother home. So I'm sitting in the back seat, and and I'm in elementary school, so he starts petting my face. Like, he starts, like, with his hand, starts rubbing his hand against my face, and he starts telling me, you're really beautiful. Like, he you know, just being really weird. And I didn't know what to do, so I turned away, and I was looking out the window, and I just started crying, because I was like, this is really weird. I almost jumped out, because I was so uncomfortable. I almost got out of the car. And I'm not saying that's SA, I'm just saying he was being really weird. So anyways, I said no, because I don't know where I'm at, one. And I don't know how to get back home. I mean, I kind of knew, but I was like, I don't know how to get back home. So, anyways, there's that. So, then, after that situation happened, right, I told my mom. At that point, I just told her, I said, his name was Raymond. And I said, Raymond did that to me. And she called my grandma's friend, and my grandma's friend had the nerve to say, he wouldn't do that. He would never do that. Just defending him, whatever the case may be. So the other essay happened when I was on the bus. I was coming home, and I'm not saying that was essay, by the way. That I was essay 3 times. But that was really weird. He was old. Like, he was old, and he was doing that to me. That's predatory. Whether people want to say so or not, that's a predator. I'm in elementary school, and you're telling someone they're beautiful? That's weird. So anyways, so then the second time I was essayed, I was on the bus. I was coming home from, whether or not you want to say that's groping, okay, he groped me. I was on the bus, and this guy was being really weird. He would stand up, and then he would move from one side of the bus to the other. And he was acting really weird. As I go to get off the bus, he grabbed my boob quickly. Then he starts staring straight like as if he didn't do anything. And I'm getting off the bus because it's my stop. I stood there for a moment to process what had just happened. And before I could think to tell the bus driver drove away. So I didn't even report it to the bus driver I was. But then it took me a minute to process what just happened to me. And there was a lot of people on the bus. Mind you, the bus was packed. But people wasn't paying attention because they were looking elsewhere. Nobody paid attention. That was the thing. Yeah, there was a lot of people on the bus, but people wasn't paying attention. So this guy grabbed me real quick, and I tried to process that. Like, I was like, that did not just happen. Like, I was in shock. And by the time I even realized to tell the bus driver, the bus was already pulling away. And then, I was just like, it was too late. And so, trying to process what the guy looked like, whatever the case may be. Whether you want to say that's groping, it's still unwanted sexual touch. That is still SA. I didn't consent to that. I didn't even know the guy. I was just on the bus coming home from the art place. So, yeah. Because it is, like, hello. What do you mean that essay stories are always boob grabs? Because they are. Hello, I got big boobs. Why? You have to understand, there's a reason why women get big boobs. There's a reason why women get big butts, because that's what men sexualize. Men sexualize women a lot. Women sometimes sexualize women a lot. You don't see, and I'm not saying people with little boobs don't get grabbed, but there was a whole post about women and big boobs. Sorry, the 20% battery came up. There was something about like how women how men talk about women with big boobs versus little boobs, how they sexualize women with big boobs. Mind you, that's what happens when I'm out somewhere. They're like, men don't even look at me sometimes. They look at my boobs. To be honest, my butt as well. Like, there's nothing I could do because, like, I got a big butt. I can't control that. I got big boobs. I can't control that either. Like I said last time, and this is something, like I said, I think it was the live stream yesterday, or I can't remember. One of the recent live streams I said, I feel like getting a reduction and getting rid of my big boobs because of how uncomfortable I felt about having them. I literally said that. You don't know what I had to deal with. I just want to get rid of them and take them away. Because I was so uncomfortable. I know I can't afford a reduction, and I don't even want to get a reduction. But that's just how I feel because of the way I've been treated. People don't care what you look like. They're not going to say, oh, let me grab this girl because she's pretty. That's not how that works. That has nothing to do with men-centered. Me talking about men being really weird and literally sexualizing women is not men-centered. That's calling it out. Where did I center men in that? If I'm saying men are doing that, then that should not be men-centered. I'm not getting a breast reduction for a man. It's because I felt uncomfortable. Period. Anyways, I gotta get off and go charge my phone. Have a good day or night where you guys are. And I'll see you guys later. I gotta go charge my phone. Stay safe. Have a good night. I gotta go. Bye. I gotta go charge my phone. Anyways, good night, guys. Bye.